Hello students, welcome to my educational channel EasyEd. In our last video, we have discussed about characteristics of Kingdom Monera. Now in this video, we will continue with the classification of Kingdom Monera. Those who have not watched my previous video can go to my YouTube channel EasyEd and watch my earlier videos there. Now, classification of Kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera is classified into two groups, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. You have to study about Archaebacteria, their characteristics, then Eubacteria, their characteristics. Now Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria are very simple and primitive type of bacteria. So simple and primitive type of bacteria have been divided, grouped or classified into a different group in Kingdom Monera, which is called as Archaebacteria. And what are their important characteristics? These Archaebacteria live in most harsh habitats. Harsh habitats such as extreme salty areas, hot springs, marshy areas. Harsh means which is difficult for other organisms to survive. These areas, these habitats are very difficult for the other organisms to survive. But Archaebacteria can easily survive in such harsh conditions. What are they? Extreme salty areas, hot springs and marshy areas. And depending upon their habitats, these are named differently, such as halophiles, which live in extreme salty areas, thermoacidophiles, which live in hot springs, and methanogens, which live in marshy areas. Means those who live in salty areas are called as halophile, those which live in hot springs are called as thermoacidophiles, and those which live in marshy areas are called as methanogens. Methanogens, listen carefully, are those which are present in the gut, that means digestive tract of ruminant animals. Ruminant animals means which have rumen in their digestive system, such as cow and buffalo. So ruminant animals in their gut, in their digestive system, have these methanogens, and these methanogens produce methane, that which is helpful in the formation of biogas. That is why the dung of these animals, cow and buffalo, cow dung, is used in the production of biogas. Why? Because it contains methanogens. Methanogens help in the formation of methane, that is biogas, and so it is useful in the biogas production. Okay. Now another character is that these Archaebacteria have different cell wall from other bacteria. Bacteria contain cell wall, and the cell wall of Archaebacteria is different from the cell wall of other bacteria, and due to this cell wall, this different cell wall, they survive in the extreme conditions. This specific cell wall helps them to survive in the specific extreme conditions such as salty areas, hot springs and marshy areas. Okay, so depending upon the habitat, we have three types of Archaebacteria depending on the habitats. What are they? Halophiles, which live in salty areas, thermoacidophiles, which live in hot springs, and methanogens, which live in marshy areas. Three types of Archaebacteria on the basis of the habitat. Now, Eubacteria, the second group of Kingdom Monera, that is Eubacteria. Now, what are these Eubacteria? As Archaebacteria are simple primitive bacteria, these Eubacteria are the true bacteria. They are called as the true bacteria. What are their characters? They have a rigid cell wall, specific rigid cell wall, which gives them a proper shape. As we studied in our last video, that depending upon the shapes, bacteria are of four types: Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum and Vibrio. So they have a rigid cell wall. Next important character, if motile, They have flagellum. We studied spirillum. Spirillum has a flagella. Spirillum has flagellum at both the ends of their body. These are flagella for motility. So bacteria, if motile, they have flagellum for their motility. Now, depending upon the mode of nutrition, bacteria may be of two types. Okay, depending upon the mode of nutrition, eubacteria may be of two types: autotrophic and heterotrophic. This also we discussed in last video. Autotrophic, which prepare their food by themselves; heterotrophic, which depend on other organisms for their food. Now, autotrophic, if they are photosynthetic, they will produce their food with the help of light. And if they are chemosynthetic, they will produce their food with the help of chemicals. See, autotrophic means which will prepare their own food. They can prepare their food by two ways, by light, with the help of light, and with the help of chemicals. So if they prepare their food with the help of light, they are called as photosynthetic bacteria, and if they prepare their food with the help of chemicals, they are called as chemosynthetic bacteria. We will study further. So, depending upon the mode of nutrition, bacteria may be of two types. Eubacteria may be of two types: autotrophic and heterotrophic. Heterotrophic will again be of two types: photosynthetic, which will prepare their food with the help of light, and chemosynthetic, which will prepare with the help of chemicals. Now, in photosynthetic autotrophs, you have to study cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria you have to study here in this chapter. Cyanobacteria is known as blue-green algae. Cyanobacteria is a photosynthetic bacteria, and because it is photosynthetic, it contains chlorophyll, it is green in color, it is called as blue-green algae. So don't get confused with the help of name blue-green algae. It is named as blue-green algae, but it is not an algae, it is a bacteria known as cyanobacteria. Now here you have to study the characteristics of cyanobacteria. What are they? As we discussed in our last video, monerans are unicellular. Simply, cyanobacteria is unicellular, made up of one cell. It is colonial or filamentous, means it may be found in the form of colony, in a form of group, or it may be found in the form of filament. Filament means one filament-like structure is formed with the help of many bacteria. So, it may be colonial or filamentous. Now, what is its habitat? It may be freshwater, it may be marine, or it may be terrestrial. Blue-green algae can be found in freshwater, marine, or it may be terrestrial also. We discussed that bacteria are found everywhere, almost everywhere. Now, if present in colonies, these colonies are generally surrounded by a gelatinous sheet. Colonies of bacteria are surrounded by a gelatinous sheet. Okay. Then next character, they often bloom in polluted water bodies. Wherever there will be polluted water bodies, you may find these cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria contain chlorophyll. Because they contain chlorophyll, they are known as blue-green algae, and they produce their own food with the help of photosynthesis. How? Due to the presence of this chlorophyll A, and this chlorophyll is which kind of chlorophyll? It is chlorophyll A. Okay, it contains chlorophyll. One important character, listen carefully. Some of the cyanobacteria fix atmospheric nitrogen. A fixing of atmospheric nitrogen means convert the nitrogen present in the atmosphere into nitrates and nitrites. and mix it in the soil. These nitrates is used by the plants to grow. So some of the cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria fixes atmospheric nitrogen. And how do they do this? This is done with the help of specialized cell. Cyanobacteria have a specialized cell which is called as heterocyst. This specialized cell called as heterocyst helps cyanobacteria to fix atmospheric nitrogen, and this character makes it very useful organism. Okay, so what are the examples of cyanobacteria? One is nostoc and other is anabaena. These are all new names. You might learn them well. So what are the examples? Please learn the examples, names of the organisms as they are asked in exam, in board as well as NEET. So what is a common cyanobacteria which fixes nitrogen? Very important question. Nostoc and anabaena. Nostoc is a common cyanobacteria which fixes nitrogen. May be asked in NEET also. So look at the diagram of this nostoc. Nostoc, I told you, these are blue-green algae and it is a filamentous body. See the filamentous body. Various cells are arranged in the form of a filament. The body is filamentous in nature and it is covered by the mucilaginous sheet. Just now I told you, when present in colonies, when present in filament, they may be covered by a mucilaginous sheet. So these are the cells of bacteria and this outer covering, it is the mucilaginous sheet which covers the whole colony, whole filament of the bacteria. Now these are the specialized cells. These are the specialized cells called as heterocyst which help in fixing what? Atmospheric nitrogen. So this cyanobacteria you have to study here its characteristic. So cyanobacteria is a photosynthetic eubacteria. Now what about chemosynthetic autotrophs or chemosynthetic eubacteria? How do they prepare their food? Just now I told you, with the help of chemicals. How? Chemosynthetic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites, ammonia. These substances, inorganic substances, they oxidize it and they use the released energy for ATP formation. ATP means energy. So how do they prepare their food? They oxidize various inorganic substances as nitrates, nitrites, ammonia and use the released energy in the formation of ATP. And so these chemosynthetic bacteria, eubacteria, help and they play an important role in recycling of the nutrients. See, cyanobacteria, that means the photosynthetic bacteria. What does it do? It fixes atmospheric nitrogen and it is very useful because it enriches the soil with nitrates. Now, this other kind of bacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria, what do? They oxidize various nitrogen components and thus they help in the nitrogen cycles, mineral cycles. So you might have studied nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, iron cycle, sulfur cycle. These bacteria are very helpful in them. You might note down the example of chemosynthetic bacteria such as Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. What are the examples of autotrophic bacteria? Nostoc, anabaena. Photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, photosynthetic bacteria, Nostoc and anabaena. And chemosynthetic bacteria, Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter, which help in the regulation of the mineral cycles in nature. Now these were autotrophic bacteria in which you studied photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. Cyanobacteria, which is photoautotrophic and fixes atmospheric nitrogen, and nitrosomonas and nitrobacter, etc., are chemosynthetic. Now, heterotrophic bacteria. Heterotrophic bacteria means which depend on other organisms for their food. So, these heterotrophic bacteria, most of the bacteria are heterotrophic in nature. A wide group is heterotrophic. So, heterotrophic bacteria, what are its characteristics? They are most abundant in nature. Okay? Heterotrophic bacteria are most abundant in nature. Most of them are decomposers. You know, bacteria play an important role in decomposition. Most of the bacteria are most of the heterotrophic bacteria are decomposers. Many of them influence human beings, that means affect human beings. How? Some of them are helpful and some of them are harmful. Means some of them are significant and some of them cause disease. They are called as pathogen. How are they significant? How are they helpful? You might be knowing that curd is made with the help of bacteria. In the formation of curd, bacteria, lactobacillus, is involved. In the formation of antibiotics, which you take when you are not well, antibiotics, these bacteria are used. So, how are they significant? They are used in making curd, in the formation of curd, in the production of antibiotics, and just we studied, they help in fixing nitrogen fixation. So, they are significant, but some are harmful. How? Many bacteria are pathogens. Many of the diseases in humans are caused with the help of are caused due to bacteria. So many bacteria are pathogens which cause diseases in humans, animals, as well as plants. You know some diseases? Diseases such as cholera, typhoid, tetanus. These diseases are caused by bacteria in man as well as in animals. And a plant disease, you may learn it, citrus canker. Citrus canker is a plant disease which is caused by bacteria.